Sonic, Shadow, Lavinia, and Katarina marched their way inside the castle. They were confronted by Eggman. Eggman, Sonic called. The doctor was facing away from the heroes because he was examining the throne. But once his name was called, he turned his head to look at them. I was expecting that you would return here, Eggman said. There's still enough time to change your minds, Lavinia and Katarina. Why don't you join the Eggman Empire so you could work with me and with your father? Don't try to talk to us into it, Eggface, Katarina snarled. What did you call me? Eggman said with a frown. I called you an Eggface, Eggface. Ace, Katarina repeated. You have no right to rule his kingdom with your establishment, Lavinia explained. Father wants you to join and add further damage to your mockery. This kingdom was meant for the wish to live to come and live here in hope, faith, care, and love, and long for. That wish was a wish my mother wanted to come true, but Father went and crumbled our mockery down to the ground like there was nothing but despair and hunger. Hearing what Lavinia say, Dr. Eggman crossed his arms and tisked for a moment. Tss, tss, tss. So much shame, Princess, he said. If I can't convince you to join the Eggman Empire, then I will let my robots do the talking. With the press of the button from his control pad, all of Eggman's robots walked into the throne room to take down the heroes. Come on, guys, we got this, Sonic said. While Sonic and Shadow and Katarina were fighting the robots, Lavinia stood and she gradually growled louder and louder as her eyes turned into a form of yellow to green, and her fur and skin changed to different shades of green. But before anybody could know it, she unleashed her rage form, and ultimately, after her transformation, Lavinia wasted no time in fighting Eggman's robots. Sonic was using his homing attack on one of them, but he was blocked by a shield that the robot was using. Lavinia jumped in and grabbed the robot by the forearm with her hair. Before swinging it around and tossing it to the statue, Shadow was hit on the back by the robot, but Lavinia was able to destroy with her magic. Katarina was overwhelmed by the upcoming robots surrounding her, but Lavinia jumped in front of her sister and used her magic to destroy each and every robot. Everyone witnessed the former princess using her magic with her hair and destroy every single robot by using her elastic hair and her magic. They were amazed by the sight, whereas Dr. Eggman was baffled by what he was seeing. What in the world? He gasped. How did that girl do that? After destroying all of the robots in one fell swoop, Lavinia eventually turned to look at Eggman while gasping for breath from fighting too much. She gradually raised her voice from muttering and shouting and demanded, Don't ever call me a princess ever again. She went as so far as using the last of her energy to knock the doctor and the throne room completely over. Immediately after, she weakly fell on her knees, and then while her eyes changed back to normal, and of course her fur changed back into their regular colors. Sonic and Shadow and Lavinia and Katarina went to Lavinia to see if she was okay after seeing her fall to the ground. Hey there, Vini, Sonic said. Are you okay? While her friends was helping her up, Lavinia opened her half eyes and away and said, Yeah, I'm okay. She looked down and then saw her necklace glowing again. Guys, look, Lavinia said. My necklace is glowing again. What is it that's trying to tell you? Shadow asked. Mine was glowing earlier, Katarina said. What did your necklace want, Katarina? Sonic asked. Well, apparently once my necklace started to glow, the cat sisters started to glow as well, Katarina said. I then realized that they must be sealed inside my necklace once I scaled them. So that's why the cat sisters weren't the ones I changed back from a statue. Shadow then stated. Lavinia then looked at her sister before asking, So does my necklace want me to seal Eggman? They all wanted to turn to see the doctor, who was getting up from the floor after being knocked over. His body didn't appear to be glowing. So Sonic said, No, I don't think it wants to do that. Well, what does it want from me? Lavinia asked. But before she could come up with an answer, Katarina froze still and her eyes opening wide. Lavinia turned back to look at her sister and placed her hand on her shoulder. What is it, Katarina? She asked. For a moment of silence later, Katarina said, Mom, Boken. Mother and Boken? Lavinia asked. Where are they? Katarina turned to look at their sister and answered, Mom is in Dad's corridor. She's being held captive by Dad. What about Boken? Sonic asked. Where is he? Shadow joined in. He's being held captive by Marcus in the dungeon, Katarina answered. Oh my chaos, Lavinia said. Looks like we gotta save them. Out of nowhere, Eggman began to laugh evilly, and his laughter was loud as it caught the attention of the heroes. Well, I must admit, Lavinia, he said, you must really got the powers from my archenemy. But can you and your punny friends take down my deaf egg robot? Right as he said this deaf egg robot, it began to shoot lasers at the heroes. However, everyone dodged the laser by jumping towards the exit to take cover. Oh man, oh man, oh man, Katarina stuttered nervously. We can't take down this deaf egg robot and save Mom and Boken at the same time. We gotta do something, Lavinia said. Like what? Katarina asked. Lavinia said, thinking of a possible way to answer, but nothing popped in her head. It was then Sonic and Shadow looked at each other, before giving each other another smirk as they came up with the idea. Hey girls, Sonic said. Remember when we showed you that we got all 7 Chaos Emeralds? Yeah, Lavinia said, and Katarina said in illusion, while nodding their heads. Well, Sonic and I should use the Chaos Emeralds to take down Deaf Egg Robot, Shadow explained. While you and Lavinia will go to Joseph's corridor and save your mom, and you, Katarina, will head to the dungeon to save Boken, Sonic stated. The cat twins looked at each other before turning back to look at Shadow and Sonic. Great idea, Sonic, Lavinia said. Yeah, Katarina joined in. So that way I could save Boken, and Lavinia could save Mom in no time. But before they could go to their destined pinpoints, Sonic and Lavinia shared a hug. I wish you the best of luck, Sonic, Lavinia said. Thanks, Lavinia, Sonic replied. The same goes for you. At the same time, Katarina and Shadow shared a hug as well. Good luck, Shadow, Katarina said. Same to you, Katarina, Shadow replied. After sharing a moment of wishing each other the best of luck to take down the egg robot and saving their allies, the heroes then came out of the hiding place and began to make their way to their pinpoints. Sonic and Shadow made a beeline to take down the deaf egg robot. Katarina went downstairs to the dungeon to save Boken, and Lavinia went upstairs to Joseph's corridor to save Lucy. The two hedgehogs then stopped in their tracks when their superpowers once they saw the gigantic robot. They closed their eyes tightly as the 7 Chaos Emeralds began to glow and slowly around them, gradually circling faster and faster. All of a sudden, Sonic's fur changed from a blue to a golden yellow, and his eyes changed from green to red, whereas Shadow's fur was changing from black to lemon yellow. They had transformed into a Super Sonic and Super Shadow and began to float from the ground once their Super Slate granted them the power to fly. Deaf Egg Robot, Eggman demanded, get those hedgehogs. Of course, the Deaf Egg Robot obeyed and prepared for the battle. Sonic and Shadow then looked at each other to see if they were ready to fight. You ready, Shadow? Sonic asked. Ready, Sonic. Shadow answered. All right, Sonic announced. Let's go. They all began charging at the robot while it began to shoot lasers at them once again. Unfortunately for them both hedgehogs, they were able to dodge every lasers, and they were ready to go for the punch. Meanwhile, Katarina entered the dungeon where she heard a voice calling her name. Katarina! It called Boken. Boken? Katarina called. Are you here? Yeah, Boken answered. I'm in the cell that Marcus locked me in. She turned to her right and saw that the robot friend grabbing hold of the bars. Oh my gosh, Katarina gasped. Don't worry, I'll get you out of here. If that's what you get me through first, another voice said. It was from Marcus, who walked from the shadows. Marcus, Katarina said coldly. I figured that you would come down here. Marcus said. Well, I knew you would be down here, looking for my friend in the dirty cell, Katarina stated. You better let him out right now. I'm afraid I can't do that, Marcus said. You wish to know why? Because if so, you'll be next in line to be forced to become our maid forever. Like that's ever gonna happen, Katarina debated. Marcus looked at Katarina with confusion, before taking out his sword. You wish to fight me? He asked. Would it be my pleasure, Katarina stated, preparing to fight. During that time, Joseph was pacing back and forth, waiting for his daughter to arrive. As for Lucy, she was tied up in the chair once again by her own husband. This is disgraceful, she exclaimed. This is an outrage. How could you do something like this and do something that I never find forgivable in the first place, Joseph? I'm glad you asked, Lucy, my dear, Joseph said, placing a hand on his wife's chin before she jerked herself away from him. I wanted to make your kingdom even more wonderful by having everyone work incredibly hard, to the point where you deny your people food and water, Lucy interrupted. You have been sentencing them to death. You can't do that. That was never part of our agreement to this kingdom. I must remind you, my dear queen, Joseph stated proudly. I am the king of the cat kingdom. I could do whatever I want. You will never be the king to even begin with, Lucy scolded. Not even your brother. This angered Joseph so that he slapped her across the face. He got even close and shouted, I do not allow you to compare with me and my brother in vain. Joseph, a voice shouted. He then turned to see Lavinia standing by the doorway with anger in her eyes. Get your hands off of my mother, she said coldly. Without a look of invitation, Joseph then backed away from his wife slightly, but Lavinia marched her way towards her father, pushing him away from her mother. Lavinia, Lucy said. It's okay, mother, Lavinia explained. I'm here to get you out of here. Then she untied the rope, setting Lucy free from being tied from a chair for so long. Thank you, my dear, the cat queen said, hugging her daughter. It's no problem, mother, Lavinia replied. A cat's gotta do what a cat's gotta do. Well, 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 Joseph said. I'm quite surprised. My daughter decided to come in and save her precious mother. You have no right to lay a hand on my mother. Not even me, Lavinia explained. You're trying to damage our mockery by making people work all day and night and all night while you sit on your throne and deny them food and water despite their effort that they put into their hard work. You think that makes you a king? No, that makes you a coward. It makes you even more a coward, allowing yourself to form an alliance with the Eggmen, thereby you are putting more further damage in our mockery soil. Hearing that from his eldest daughter, Joseph was astonished by her realization. Lavinia, he said, crossing his arms, is that any way to talk to your father? You're not my father, Lavinia stated coldly. You were never around when I was growing up. In fact, you were never around Katerina either. Now I think about it, I am happy that she was away from you, so she couldn't just see how much of a triumph you are after all these years. Joseph's facial expression changed from shock to anger. He walked towards Lavinia and demanded, I demand an apology from you, Lavinia the cat. No, Lavinia said, standing at her ground. Apologize, Joseph shouted. I will never do it, Lavinia shouted, raising her voice. How dare you defy me? Joseph shouted. He was about to slap her across the face, but Lavinia blocked his attack by grabbing his hand, and he gasped as he was shocked by this action. As I said, you have no right to lay a hand on anyone, Lavinia said. You also have no right to abuse your power as king. As he swatted his hand away from his daughter, sending her flying before she landed on her feet. Since you refuse to be my maid of the kingdom and refusing to respect the Eggman Empire, Joseph stated, I will have no choice but to fight you. He took out his sword and prepared to fight his daughter. Lavinia then saw his sword in her father's hand and felt unsure if it was the right to fight him or not. But then she shook her worriness off and began to get ready for the battle with Joseph. In that case, she said, if this is the fight you want, then I will fight and you get what you wanted. This is not going to go your way, Lavinia stated coldly. Without wasting any more time, Katerina and Marcus began to fight while he swung his sword at her for her to block every single swing. You see, Marcus, Katerina stated, no matter how many times you use that cruddy sword of yours, I cannot be stabbed. Is that so? Marcus said, catching his breath. He dropped his sword to the ground, then he asked, well, are you fast enough to block this? Then without warning, Marcus punched Katerina in the stomach, causing her to fall to the ground. Katerina! Vulcan shouted. He couldn't believe that his friend was hurt from one of her so-called friends.